What a time to be on the stock market. Now, this kind of crashes happen only every approximately 10 years, and you came exactly on the right time to buy stocks on the cheap. Now, many of you have asked me on Instagram and YouTube, hey, what about airline stocks now? How about cruise line stocks? Now, this is exactly the topic that we will dive in, if this is really interesting to invest in, or is it maybe the falling knife? And therefore, without further ado, let's dive in.
Wolf of Dubai.
So thank you very much for tuning in. Usually on this channel, Mondays is Beyond Mondays, but because of the special circumstances on the stock market, obviously we are more concentrating on active topics that you guys want to know, that you guys send to me. And therefore, I'm always curious to know what you guys want to know. And obviously we will talk about two major stocks that got really beaten in this market. And this is, for once, American Airlines. American Airlines is a US American airline that they just got beaten so much down, and also they now suspend also the long haul flights, which is 70% of their business. And then the second stock that we will talk about is Carnival Corporation, which is a great dividend stock normally, but got a really big hit of the overall crash. And obviously because one of the cruise ship was main target in this crisis and was so much affected on the very primary line. Now, therefore, without further ado, let's dive into Carnival Corporation. Carnival Corporation is one of the leading cruise line stocks out there, and it's one of the most stocks that lost over the last couple of days and weeks towards this crisis. And they are having a huge fleet of 100 vessels. You can imagine these vessels are huge. They're transporting people around the world and are going from Europe to US, around the world to the Caribbean islands and to Europe, Asia, and so on. And obviously they were affected primarily because their Diamond Princess was one of these vessels that caught on the whole situation, and therefore it was in the media. And obviously this was so hard on this company so far, and how hard it was, let's dive into the stock. So as you can see, Carnival Corp is currently sitting around $17.58. This is approximately after a huge run last Friday, which the stock gained about 17%, obviously because the day before on Thursday we had a totally crazy bloodbath on the stock market. And I want to just dive first into the overall situation with this company. So if you're looking into the chart from March to November, December, let's say here until 15th of January, you see that, all in all, it was more or less flat, a little bit decline with about 11%. But then obviously they took a very deep dive with 66 or 65% down since mid of January. 20th of January was the latest height. And one of the reasons why the people ask now, hey, should I jump into this stock, is because on long term we have seen a couple of these crises already. There was a novel virus which was affecting also this kind of companies, and they recovered pretty well. Now I believe that the current situation is quite different. It's quite different from anything that we have seen before. It's a global thing, and if we are looking just into the chart, then you see how hard it is, really just one direction, and this is down. And there's one reason why the people are so attracted by this stock is the dividend yield. The dividend yield is currently a whopping 13.36%. Now, of course, on the reward side, I believe this company can rebound and everything will be as beautiful as before, and you are collecting on the run towards other heights this 13%, which will be over time a little bit less, obviously, if the stocks goes up. But on the other side, the risk is bankruptcy, that the people need really trust to go on ships, right? If this is over in a couple of months, still the people need to trust to go on this cruise lines, because this is basically putting you on a boat for a certain time, and if something happen on this boat, we have seen that actually, you know, the all over crew and whole ship is contained, and you are basically a prisoner for yourself. And therefore I believe there's more of a risk right now, and I would still keep on watching on the sidelines for now for this company to see also, because the US government just announced that they will support this kind of company, especially these industries that are affected by this health situation. 11% of the whole population of the US is directly affected of these industries. This means amusement parks, this means airlines and cruise ships, this means travel and hotels. All these industries that are now totally affected, they are about 11% of the whole US, all jobs depending on this 11% on these industries. And therefore I would still be on the sidelines right now, because I believe that there is still a lot of possibilities that we don't see a bottom yet still, because the US is currently just evolving. It's just in the beginning of the whole situation, and therefore, you know, Carnival Corporation, even the dividend is so tempting, is currently a side watch for me. But let's go into the American Airlines. Now, American Airlines belongs to the industries that are affected that we just talked about, because obviously we are such a connected world, we are such a global civilization that we can travel from any place in the world for a couple of $100 anywhere in the world just in a couple of hours. And this is obviously how such a thing can spread globally, and therefore one of the first measures was obviously by many governments to block flights, to block travel. People stayed, and you know, they said, should I go for the vacation or should I stay and make a staycation? And obviously, considering the whole situation, the staycation is the much better option, and also this is heavily pressuring the airlines. And I want to go with you into American Airlines. And also, similar to Carnival Corporation, we see a very similar pattern over the all over a year. We saw a 10% to 3% decline stock, but overall a very stable business overall. And this is, I think, for such long established companies like American Airlines, they have about 914 fleet size, and most of them, 75% as of this recording, are grounded. So not only these companies are really affected by the people not traveling, but also think about the back end of the situation. So they have airplanes around the world that are currently parked, and this is huge cost. I don't know even where these airplanes will be parked and how much does it cost, how much does it affect. So you have this double effect that not only the revenue is not there, but also on the other side, huge cost develop through the maintenance, cleaning, storage, and so on of these airplanes. And you know, this obviously took a huge hit on the stock since the recent high on the 11th of February, which was about $30. We run down to about $14, so 50%, 53% to be exact. This is a huge loser during this kind of times. Obviously, now if you're looking into the yield, dividend yield was before somewhere around 1.5%. Now it's almost 3%, obviously because the stock lost 50%. But is airline stocks a buy currently? Doesn't matter if American Airlines or usually airlines. For me, also no. The situation is still so new. Even we just seeing the whole situation, everybody is grounded, everybody is instructed to stay home, and you are just chilling on your couch, and everything is melted. So it's not only melted, but it's also the melt is going into water and it's flooding all the other opportunities. I'm definitely not a crash guru, but I'm also not the hyper optimism guy. I'm trying to be realistic here. So we just see the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg in costs and economical downturn for this kind of industry. So think about not only the big industries like the airlines itself, think about also the small and medium-sized companies around it. Small and medium-sized companies are around 99% of all companies in the whole US. So you can see that it's a big disaster, and therefore also for American Airlines as well as other airline stocks, I'm still waiting on the sidelines. It's definitely both of them. Put them on your watch list, because if they don't go bankrupt and if government giving them some stimulus and some offering that those companies can further survive, then basically those are definitely great turnaround stocks, but still this can take a couple of weeks time. So if you really want to invest now, then do dollar averaging, where you buy every other week, so you are sure if it's going further down you are getting always cheaper price. But be aware of all the risks on the stock market. Right now it's totally unexpected what can happen, because we never had this situation before.